Hello, this is going to be my first impressions of Shadow of a Dying Sun. This is written by Alan Bahr of Gallant Games and published through Northern Lights Foundry. Now, as to start off, I need to let people know I have done some writing for Gallant Games, not on this project but others, but just that's out there as a disclaimer. But first of all, this is on a PDF, so I need to share my screen with you so you can see what we're looking at. So here's the cover, Shadows of a Dying Sun. Now, when I first looked at this, I like post-apocalyptic things, but this is not so much of that nature. This is more along the lines of like what they gave inspiration for, which I'm going to jump right to down here at the end of the file, because I think it's very fitting, a little bit of the artwork there. But inspiration material is the new sun, the long sun, the short sun, and the other reworks of the solar cycle by Gene Wolfe. Very fitting. Michael Moorcock, when I took some of this first look, I thought immediately the Elric sagas and some of the inspiration that comes from them, and Dying Earth by Jack Vance. Now, and a couple of other things that people might be a little bit more familiar with is the cartoon is Thundar, the Barbarian. That was a Dying Earth type scenario where you have magic coming back into the world and built on top of a destroyed world. And also the other one that I came across that I immediately popped in my mind is an old movie called Wizards. So the inspiration for this is more of a fantasy setting, but you got to remember it's also a little bit more where you can have technology. You have a world that's been destroyed, it's died, rebirth, kind of back and forth along those lines. Now, even they come in and say inspired by Knave, various OCR D20 games, board games, and a lot of booze. And if you're into that sort of stuff, I can see where that could probably play into it. But you can see, this is one of the things I saw that immediately make me think a little bit more of some of the Elric and some of the artwork on that. And this is very applicable to all that. But you can, or even some of the elements with the birds, so maybe the crow and some of those other things of kind of building on it. Now, this is, you can see, is an 88-page booklet that deals with this. This is not built on the open gaming license. It's more of an old school Renaissance type game. So it's a minimalistic rule set that I saw using a D20. So the other thing that I think is very important that I saw here that I kind of liked was this is an outward facing, player facing game, as they call it here, which means almost all of the die rolls that are going to take place are going to take place by the players for their characters, even in combat, for and against. So that's going to be a major thing. And another important aspect is they were pointing out this is a resource management game, not a risk management game. So a lot of times people are very much familiar with risk management going into combat. How do you manage all that? Making sure how hard you hit, we're all kind of familiar with those type of things. This one is going to be more about how you manage what you have and how you get it and how you deal with the other characters, non-player characters, player characters for dealing with that. You can see through all this, it kind of gives a little bit of the medieval feel, but with a little bit of a twist. As it says, it's a science fiction, it's fantasy, it's cosmic horror, it's post-apocalyptic. Yeah, it ties in everything. It's a dying world. And it's built upon itself over and over. So when I was going through it, you have charts here, place name tables, which I think have an interesting, you can roll down one way and then roll across the other using two. So you have a cross reference. There's your government systems put out, guilds, and again, it has a little bit of a feel of that. This I saw when I thought was pretty good, that it was in the instant of confusion that I realized for the first time that I am in some degree insane, which is from Gene Wolfe, The Shadows of the Torturer. So kind of plays into all that. When you create a character, you can use these to create some of your, not your abilities, but some ideas about what your character is. Same with the names, but you don't have to use these. These just give you a way to kind of build upon that. You have 4 abilities: might, agility, intel, and luck that you play and use. You have occupations. Now there's some more of the art, choosing a path for your character, starting equipment. Again, look at what they're trying to give you: random gear, all these tables using this that you can set up how to use things, some basic skills and how much damage they do. Everything is kind of preset. You're not going to be doing a lot of a rolling of dice as a mechanic. It's really more about how you play it as a character from what I'm seeing, which I think is very fundamental of Gallant Knight games, the way Alan Bahr writes his minimalistic games. This one doesn't fit into that, but it does. It's not the same style in the sense of using the tiny D6 system, but it is the same basic style of minimalistic game. So you can actually get something usually going up pretty quickly to play in this. But what I'm seeing on my first impressions a lot this, there's a lot of extra material about the world, about what's happening. So you can build some pretty in-depth material. Crossing over a number of different genres about how things work and how the game plays looks very interesting. So as I'm doing this together, what I do with my group on these new games like this is I'll create some characters so that I can see how that all works together, let my players choose them out, and then we go through and see how it plays. So all of this, I think, is going to be very good. It looks like there's a lot of great stuff to make up characters quickly, easily. Solo play. Okay, so you can actually have a solo play section. So that's good for the people that, if you have a hard time getting a group together. I'll try some of that too. Now, there isn't an adventure in here, but it really sets up the whole feel of the world. And also random encounters. So you have that, so you can just really jump in very quickly, it looks like. So my first impression of this, as I'm going through it, is, this is going to have some interesting crossover between the different genres of what we're used to seeing in gaming, fantasy, post-apocalyptic, some sci-fi elements. And with it that way, it looks like as a game master, we can add in anything that we want to that would fit the game world that we want to eventually create. I think this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, very quick setup, ability to move through it. I like the work that I've done before. If you go through my previous reviews, you'll see that I've done a number of items from Tiny D6 and Gallant Knight Games. I like their style. I'm looking forward to reviewing this one. And when that review gets published, I will put, like I said, the link into the comments, so it's there. But if you like what you see here, please like this, share it out with your gamers that you know that might be interested in something like this so that they can track it. And please subscribe to the channel, because the more subscriptions there gives me more ability to what I can do and provide for you. So thanks. We'll post up stuff more soon.